Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Doctor's Eyes Only podcast. I'm Lauren Oschman, and today we're going to be talking about spring cleaning for your finances. So this is actually based on a webinar that I did recently for a group of women physicians, and we got such a great response on just some of the tips that were shared and how useful they were and how different they were than what people had heard maybe in kind of financial education before, that I thought it would be great to bring to all of you as a podcast episode. So the idea of spring cleaning, right? A lot of you who are listening probably have experienced some of this in your household, right? The weather gets nice, you're looking toward the summer, and for whatever reason, we just have this urge to clear things out, to kind of start fresh. I don't know if it's the flowers blooming or what it is, but I know I definitely get this urge, and I know a lot of others feel the same way, which is why spring cleaning became a thing. So I actually was getting ready for this webinar. I got online and I just was kind of looking for why do we do spring cleaning? Why is this desire that we have, even if we don't have a calendar alert that's telling us that we should be doing it, right? And I actually came upon an article that was on the Cleveland Clinic website. They were talking about kind of the mental benefits of spring cleaning. Now they're talking about cleaning, like cleaning your house, cleaning kind of your things, but we're going to get into what that kind of looks like in the financial realm. So I'm just going to read you this list that was from the Cleveland Clinic website. They said, number one, you feel accomplished. It de-stresses us. We feel more peaceful. Interestingly, this is kind of where I started drawing the parallel between the finances, because we've had clients who've reported that once they get in and kind of get a handle on their finances and they feel like things are in good shape, that they feel more peaceful. They just feel more confidence. It improves your focus. So once you know what you have, right, you kind of know that things are clean, then you're able to focus better on the other things that need your attention. It reduces home hazards. And then finally, it gets you moving. And I really like that idea of getting moving. Obviously, with cleaning your house, they're talking about something physical, right? It gets you up, it gets you moving. Again, we're looking towards fun summer, things like that. What I've observed oftentimes with doctors who will come to us and they've not worked with a financial advisor before, they always report that they didn't really know where to start. They didn't know how to engage an advisor. Maybe they felt a little bit embarrassed because they didn't have a good enough handle to go in and even know what to give to a financial advisor to start getting help. So I think the idea of getting moving, if we're kind of connecting this into spring cleaning for your finances, is really just about taking that first step. Even if it's something small, something that you do that can help you do these things, right? That help us when we spring clean our house, feeling accomplished, getting better confidence, getting a sense of peace, improving focus on other things, can be beneficial. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give you 7 tips, and this is actually going to be a 2-part episode. So I have a list of 7 things, and then I'm going to throw in an 8th at the end that I think are a good start to spring cleaning for your finances. So today I'm going to give you a preview of that entire list, and I'm going to go through the first 4 pieces. Then we'll come back in our next episode and we will round out the list, and then I'll give you that bonus 8th tip as well. The 8 things that I'm going to talk to you about that are these topics for spring cleaning. And you don't necessarily have to do all of these, but these are all things that you could consider. And I would say if you do one of them, it is going to help you feel accomplished in the financial realm. So we're going to talk about consolidating your accounts, checking your interest rates, verifying your contributions, creating unique passwords for your important accounts, reviewing your beneficiaries, checking credit reports, validating your home coverage, and finally, thinking about getting help if this isn't something you want to do yourself. The first tip, spring cleaning for your finances, consolidate your accounts. This is not something that you have to do. All of these are just things for you to think about and consider. So often when doctors come to us for planning, we actually talked about this in an earlier episode about rollovers. We kind of talked about account consolidation in the retirement realm. A lot of times doctors end up with a number of accounts that are actually the same. They're the same type of account, even if they hold different types of investments, right? They're the same base account. So they might be multiple IRAs or multiple Roth IRAs or multiple what's called brokerage accounts. These would just be kind of your general investment accounts where maybe you buy some stocks or some mutual funds, things like that. I'm actually going to tell you an example of a client that I've been working with over the last few months. They're newer clients, and they actually have these brokerage accounts, right? These general investment accounts. They actually have 4 brokerage accounts right now. They have 2 that are managed by different advisors. So they had a financial advisor. They had kind of a separate investment advisor who was a friend who was managing a small pot of money. And then they had 2 accounts that they had actually started themselves at different phases of life. So at one time they had picked Fidelity, I think it was. And then later on they had picked Vanguard because they had heard that that was a good platform. And so by the time I started meeting with them and we started talking about their financial planning, they had 4 different brokerage accounts. Well, imagine how hard it is to keep track of 4 accounts. Number one, you have to remember they all exist. You have to have the credentials to actually get access to all of those accounts. You have to make sure you have 4 different tax forms to give to your accountant to report the same kind of activity, because again, it's the same type of account. And so I proposed to them that just to simplify, we consolidate those 4 accounts into one brokerage account. The great thing about moving accounts like this is that there's not any penalties to do so. Sometimes companies will assess a small account closure fee, like a $20 fee or something like that, but you don't have to get hit with taxes. You don't have to sell the investments that you currently have. These are things that people think that aren't necessarily true. So if you have Apple stock in one of those accounts, what you do in this new joint brokerage account, we're just going to transfer that Apple stock. And it's just going to move from, say, the Vanguard account to your new joint brokerage account. It's going to show up exactly like it was. So what happens is everything that was in all those 4 accounts shows up in one. The benefit for you from a spring cleaning perspective, you no longer have 4 accounts to keep up with. And again, you can do this if you have multiple IRAs. You and your spouse have to keep separate IRAs if you're married, but you each can consolidate into just one IRA, one Roth IRA if you have those as well. And again, we talked about in that previous episode how you can actually consolidate like old 403Bs from training and things like that into either IRAs or into new retirement accounts. So the second tip for spring cleaning, check your interest rate. What do I mean by this? I'm actually talking about your interest rate on the cash that you have sitting around. We are in a particularly high interest rate environment right now. For anyone who's been paying attention over the last decade or so, we've been in a really low interest rate environment. It's been very easy to get a mortgage at a low rate. It's been very easy to get a car loan at a low rate if you have good credit. All of a sudden, rates have skyrocketed. If you're trying to borrow money, that's a great thing if you have cash sitting around, because it also means banks are paying more interest on money that people have sitting in cash in savings. Here's what I'm observing when I am meeting with doctors who are not currently working with an advisor or who haven't had time to look into this. They have money sitting in, say, their bank savings account where they're getting maybe 0.1% interest, maybe a little bit more than that. And that's kind of at their brick and mortar bank savings. According to the FDIC, the national average on kind of bank savings accounts or on savings accounts is 0.47%. So that's the national average. There are platforms where you can open up a high yield savings account. Often these are online platforms. So you can set up an online savings account that is high interest. It doesn't have any kind of like restrictions or penalties or anything like that. If you need to withdraw money, if you need to move money in and out, the only thing is they usually do limit you to just a few transactions a month. So it does need to be savings. Most of those are at like 4 to 5% interest. If you have $50,000 sitting in a savings account, right? And we have a lot of doctors that are sitting on at least 3 months of what their expenses would be, sometimes a little bit more than that in savings. If you went from 0.4% on that savings to 4%, you'd make an extra $1,800 in 12 months of that money sitting. That's $1,800 for opening up a new account and popping your savings in there. So I think that's a great return on the investment of time that you're going to make to take this particular step in spring cleaning. We want to verify that all of your contributions, if you intend in things like 401k, 403b, IRA accounts. If you intend to be maxing those out to the IRS allowable limits for contributions, and a lot of our doctors do, those limits change each year. And because we've seen meaningful inflation over the last couple of years, those limits have actually increased quite a bit over the last couple of years. What do I mean by that? In 2022, the limit for employee funding into a 401k, 403b type account was $20,500 for the year. Fast forward 2 years later, that limit's gone up to $23,000 just because they're trying to keep the savings up with inflation, or the limits up with inflation. Let's say you were set 2 years ago at the $20,500 maximum. You didn't check this last year. You haven't checked it yet this year. You may be missing out on that additional money that you could be putting away, oftentimes pre-tax, into these plans, which saves you some tax dollars, right? You get a little bit more take-home pay if you put a little bit more money away into these pre-tax 401k, 403b type accounts. Additionally, if you are going to be 50 by the end of 2024, or if you already turned 50 and you haven't done this before, you're eligible for an additional, what the IRS calls catch-up contribution. So you can actually do an additional $7,500 on top of that $23,000 that I mentioned earlier into your 401k, 403b accounts as an employee. So if that's something that you aren't sure whether you're doing, or maybe you know for sure, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I haven't done that. That's something that I would check. And if you intend to be maximizing, you might want to bump that up. The same thing is true with IRA contributions. So last year, the limit was $6,500 for an IRA contribution. This year, it's $7,000. And you can do an additional $1,000 catch up. So you can actually do $8,000 total for 2024 if you hit that 50 or older mark by the end of 2024. I can't list in this format all of the different accounts. I would probably put everyone to sleep. But whatever accounts you have that you are intending on putting the maximum into in the retirement sphere, just check those 2024 limits, check your contributions, and make sure that those match if you intend them to, because those have changed quite a bit over the last couple of years. All right, and then the last of the tips that I'm going to give you today in part 1, again, we have part 2 coming in the next episode that's going to round out this list of spring cleaning tips for your finances. Create unique passwords. We've just seen over the past few years, scamming, phishing, those types of things have expanded their targets to busy professionals who are living complex, hurried lives. And physicians fit that target group. Taking some kind of best practices and putting those into play, I think, is a great thing to spend some time doing if you are kind of spring cleaning in the financial realm. We have a webinar on our website. We've had podcast episode in the past with a cybersecurity expert. And one of my biggest takeaways was that a password is like a key. So think about the key to your house. That is not the same key that starts my car, that unlocks my office, that opens my safe, right? I have different keys for all of those things. Why? Because I don't want the same people who have access to my house having access to my office, my car, my safe. Nor do I want the same people that maybe need a copy of my office key to have a key to my house. So if you start thinking about passwords like you think about keys, all of a sudden you realize that maybe it's important to take the time to create unique passwords. Here's how things work. So I'm told, I'm not an expert, but here's how things work on the dark web. You get one of those emails that says, hey, your account information has been compromised, right? There's a company that you have an online account with, and they say someone got passwords and information and whatever. Take some steps to protect yourself. Whoever has all of those usernames and passwords, they sell that list. Whoever buys that list immediately takes those usernames and passwords and just runs them through a bunch of other websites to see what they can unlock, right? So they take those keys and they're like, hey, do these unlock any more doors? So imagine if your Netflix password is the same password that you use for your Gmail which is the same password you use for your HR system through work, which is the same password that you use for your bank account. Someone gets your Netflix password, they now have the keys to everything important in your financial life, and that is terrifying. Take some time, create a different password for each one of those accounts, especially your core ones, right? If you're not going to go through everything you've ever created a login for and set up a unique password, I totally understand. I don't have a lot of free time either. But there are some passwords that I am very diligent about. That's my Gmail. That's everything I have to get into through work, right? We're required to have unique, complex passwords for everything we access through work. My Gmail, my HR system, my bank accounts, my health insurance, all of those kinds of things, I for sure have unique passwords. Now, you might be listening and thinking, okay, Lauren, that's all well and good, but I can only remember one password. Same. I use a password manager. The one that I use personally is called Keeper. That's not necessarily a recommendation, but I have liked it. So that's one that you could check out. There are others. You install it on your computer, you install it on your phone. All of your passwords are kept in there. So all you have to know is your master password. And this is like the holy grail of all holy grails, right? Is my password to my password manager. No one else knows that. And then the great thing is you can actually share your logins within that. So if my husband needs access to some of our logins, I can share those from my Keeper account with him. So that way, when I have to update them, right? Because inevitably the site will say, hey, it's time for a new password. When I update it in Keeper, it's immediately updated in his app as well. Think about taking the time to create those unique passwords. That's protecting the keys to the kingdom. I had it happen to a client a few years ago where someone got into their HR portal and actually changed the direct deposit information for the paycheck. Instead of getting her paycheck on the first of the month from the hospital, she didn't get paid. They found out that there were 5 different physicians at this hospital whose direct deposit information had been changed. Protect those passwords, have unique passwords. I think that's a great use of time just to have some additional confidence that you're in a good position for, again, just all that phishing and all of that that's just very rampant these days. Okay, so that's a wrap on part 1 of spring cleaning for your finances. Hopefully these were some good actionable tips. I want to issue a challenge to you. In the next 2 weeks, because it will be 2 weeks before you get the next episode, in the next 2 weeks, try to take action on one of the things that I mentioned. Just check the box, start somewhere, and hopefully when I catch you back in a couple weeks, you'll be feeling a little bit better than you do today about the state of your finances. If you already are like, hey, I need help. I haven't even heard part 2, but I know I need help. We do have a great team of advisors at Vestia. You can reach out to us at myteam@vestia.com. We'd be happy to get you connected with one of those to talk about how we can partner and hopefully add some value for your financial life. If you're looking forward to part 2, make sure that you subscribe so that will immediately be available to you on your phone. I'm Lauren Oschman, partner and CEO at Vestia. I will see you next time for part 2. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Vestia Advisors, LLC. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. It should not be construed as legal or tax advice and is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified attorney or tax advisor. This information is not an offer or a solicitation to buy or sell securities. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Before investing, you should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses associated with investment products. Investment decisions should be based on an individual's own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Diversification and asset allocation do not ensure a profit or guarantee against loss. Consult your financial professional before making any investments. Investment advisory services offered through Vestia Personal Wealth Advisors, Vestia Retirement Plan Consultants, and Vestia Advisors, LLC. Securities offered through Osdale Financial Partners, Inc., 5187 Utica Ridge Road, Davenport, Iowa, 52807. Member, FINRA, SIPC. Vestia Personal Wealth Advisors, Vestia Retirement Plan Consultants, Vestia Advisors, LLC, and Osdale Financial Partners, Inc. are independently owned and operated.